Let's start at the beginning of creation, as far back as we can go. The first known thing in creation is infinity. The infinity is creation. Then infinity became aware. This aware, or intelligent infinity, is the creator. The first and primal paradox or distortion of infinity is free will of awareness. Due to freedom of will of awareness, the intelligent infinity discerned a concept. This concept was finity. Thus, the one intelligent infinity invested itself in the exploration of manyness. Due to the infinite possibilities of intelligent infinity, there is no ending to manyness. The exploration, thus, is free to continue infinitely in an eternal present. Thus, awareness led to the focus of infinity into infinite energy. We have called this by various vibrational sound complexes, the most common to our ears being logos or love. The creator is the focusing of infinity as an aware or conscious principle called by Ra, as closely as they can create understanding learning in our language, intelligent infinity. The next step is an infinite reaction to the creative principle following the law of one in one of its primal distortions, freedom of will. Thus, many dimensions, infinite in number, are possible. The next step is still at this space-time nexus in our illusion achieving its progression as we may see it in our illusion. The energy moves from the intelligent infinity, first due to the outpouring of randomized creative force, this then creating patterns which in holographic style appear as the entire creation no matter which direction or energy is explored. These patterns of energy then begin to regularize their own local, shall we say, rhythms and fields of energy, thus creating dimensions and universes. As each exploration began, the energies moved in increasingly intelligent patterns until the individualization of various energies, emanating from the creative principle, found their focus and became co-creators. Thus the so-called physical matter began. The concept of light is instrumental in grasping the birth of the physical universes, as this vibrational distortion of infinity is the building block of matter, the light being intelligent and full of energy, thus being the first distortion of intelligent infinity, which was called by the creative principle. This light of love was made to have in its occurrences of being certain characteristics, among them the infinite whole, paradoxically described by the straight line, as we would call it. This paradox is responsible for the shape of the various physical illusion entities we call solar systems, galaxies, and planets, all revolving and tending towards the lenticular. Using intelligent infinity, each portion created an universe and allowing the rhythms of free choice to flow, playing with the infinite spectrum of possibilities. Each individualized portion channeled the light of love into what we might call intelligent energy, thus creating the so-called natural laws of any particular universe. Each universe, in turn, individualized to a focus becoming, in turn, co-creator and allowing further diversity. Individualizing galaxies created energy patterns which then focused in multitudinous focuses of further conscious awareness of intelligent infinity, thus causing natural laws to appear in the vibrational patterns of what we would call a solar system. Thus, each solar system has its own, shall we say, local coordinate system of illusory natural laws, which are unique to itself. However, the progression is from the galaxy spiraling energy to the solar spiraling energy to the planetary spiraling energy to the experiential circumstances of spiraling energy, which begin the first density of awareness or consciousness of planetary entities. It shall be understood that any portion, no matter how small, of any density or illusory pattern contains, as in an holographic picture, the one creator, which is infinity. Thus all begins and ends in mystery. The process by which free will acts upon the potential intelligent infinity to become focused intelligent energy takes place without the space-time of which we are so aware, as it is our continuum experience. The experience or existence of space-time comes into being after the individuation process of logos, or love, has been completed and the physical universe has coalesced, while moving outward to the extent that stars, in their turn, have created timeless chaos, coalescing into planets, these vortices of energy spending a large amount of first density in a timeless state. The space-time realization being one of the lessons of this density of beingness. The process by which space-time comes into continuum form is a function of the careful building of an entire plan of vibratory rates, densities, and potentials. When this plan has coalesced in the thought complexes of the creative principle, then the physical manifestations begin to appear. This first manifestation stage being awareness, or consciousness of elements. The point at which this coalescence is at the livingness or beingness point, the point or fountainhead of beginning, space-time then begins to unroll its scroll of livingness. In our first density, there is no method of estimation of the time before timelessness gave way to the beginnings of our time. The measurement would be vast, and yet this vastness is meaningless. Upon the entry into the constructed space-time, our first density spanned a bridge of space-time and time-space of perhaps 2 billion years. This approximation is exceedingly rough due to the somewhat uneven development, which is characteristic of creations which are built upon the foundation stone of free will. In a planetary environment, all begins in what we would call chaos, energy undirected and random in its infinity. Slowly, in our terms of understanding, there forms a focus of self-awareness. Thus the logos moves. Light comes to form the darkness, according to the co-creator's patterns and vibratory rhythms, so constructing a certain type of experience. This begins with first density, which is the density of consciousness, the mineral and water life upon the planet learning, from fire and wind the awareness of being. This is the first density. Upon our planetary sphere, the first entities were earth, water, fire, and air. You may see the air and fire of that which is chaos as literally illuminating and forming the formless, for earth and water were, in the timeless state, unformed. As the active principles of fire and air blow and burn incandescently, about that which nurtures that which is to come, the water learns to become sea, lake, and river, offering the opportunity for viable life. The earth learns to be shaped, thus offering the opportunity for viable life. The spiraling energy, which is the characteristic of what we call light, moves in straight-line spiral, thus giving spirals an inevitable vector upwards to a more comprehensive beingness with regards to intelligent infinity. Thus, first-dimensional beingness strives towards the second density lessons of a type of awareness which includes growth, rather than dissolution or random change. The first or red ray density, though attracted towards growth, is not in the proper vibratory field for those conditions conducive to what we may call the spark of awareness. As the vibratory energies move from red to orange, the vibratory environment is such as to stimulate those chemical substances which lately had been inert to combine in such a fashion that love and light begin the function of growth. The mechanism is one of the attractions of upward spiraling light. There is nothing random about this, or any portion of evolution. Thus, the single-celled entities began to have a beingness within the orange ray energy center. The orange ray concerns the expression of the self in relationship to the self and other self. However, the consciousness of the second density beginning is primitive, and the use of orange rays is limited to the expression of self, which may be seen to be movement and survival. The lower second density mind-body complexes, which begin to move about within and upon its being. This movement is the characteristic of second density, the striving towards light and growth. The base of any metabolism is that which may be found in the chemical substances of the neighborhood of origin. Our scientists have puzzled over the various differences and possible interrelationships of various stages, types, and conditions of life forms. This is not fruitful material, as it is that which is of a moment's choice. There are several different types of bases for life forms, not only upon this planetary sphere, but to a much greater extent in the life forms found on planetary spheres of other sublogoi. The chemical vehicle is that which most conveniently houses the consciousness. The functioning of consciousness is the item of interest rather than the chemical makeup of a physical vehicle. A second density mind operates largely upon intuition, which proves through practice to yield results. It makes the choices that improve chances of survival. So the mind of second density files away all information concerning survival and keeps it at the ready in order to enhance each opportunity to respond in a timely manner to that which affects survival. Life forms evolve greater complexity and variety because of the workings of free will applied to evolution. There are many paths that the mind-body complex follows in an attempt to survive, to reproduce, and to seek in its fashion that which is unconsciously felt as the potential for growth. Thus, there are many arenas or paths of development. The yellow ray center concerns the entity in relation to groups. Therefore, upon our planetary sphere, those having the first yellow ray experiences are those of animal and vegetable natures, which find the necessity for reproduction by the bisexual techniques, or who find it necessary to depend in some way upon other selves for survival and growth. The second density strives towards the third density, which is the density of self-consciousness or self-awareness. The striving takes place due to the simple third density investment, which is the line of spiraling light, calling distortion upward from density to density. The self-awareness comes from within, given the catalyst of certain experiences, understanding the upward spiraling of the cell or atom or consciousness. You may then see that there is an inevitable pull toward the, what we may call, eventual realization of self. This awareness is that which is awareness of that already given. From the infinite come all densities. Those second density mind-body complexes became self-aware mind-body complexes, thus becoming mind-body-spirit complexes, and entering third density, the first density of consciousness of spirit. The addition of this spirit complex, though apparent rather than real, it having existed potentially from the beginning of space-time, perfects itself by graduation into third density. Upon the cessation of physical complex, the mind-body complex does not return unto the undifferentiated consciousness of that species. The second density represents our longest density in terms of the span of space-time. We may estimate that time as approximately 4.6 billion years. Let's define the term density as we have been using it. The term density is what we call a mathematical one. The closest analogy is that of music, whereby after 7 notes on our Western type of scale, the 8th note begins a new octave. Within our great octave of existence, there are 7 densities. The 8th density, which moves into a mystery we do not plumb, in its latter stages, functions also as the beginning or the first density of the next octave of densities. Within each density, there are 7 subdensities. Within each subdensity are 7 sub-subdensities. Within each sub-subdensity, 7 sub-sub-subdensities, and so on infinitely. There is the infinity of opportunity. You may consider any possibility, probability complex as having an existence.